At this juncture, in Elul, we already start feeling Rosh Hashanah. The Gemara tells us in Megillah, it's a psikta, that Ezra Asoph already was mitaking that we should read Parshas Kisavo before Rosh Hashanah, and it's connected an idea which we'll discuss a little bit more tonight. Tichle Shana v'kloloseha, Tachel Shana v'birchoseha, that the old year is ending with all the curses and the new year is beginning with all the blessings. Right? Something which, it's royally bonin and a little bit of what that means. But then the obvious question is, so why do we read Parshas Nitzavim right before Rosh Hashanah? Right, and the Rambam already in his Hilchos Tefillah, where he goes through the Seder of Laning, he already points out this issue that originally was that was the takana. Say what it means. That was the takana originally. That means once upon a time when they used to finish the laning once every 3 years, right? So they would read the Toch of Parshas Kisava as like a maftir. That's the way it was when it was on a 3-year cycle, and we have since put it on an annual cycle. So we don't have to do it as a maftir. We can do it as the whole parsha itself. The problem is that it doesn't work out exactly. That Kisava is right before Rosh Hashanah. He says, as Ram writes, Hamina kaposhut b'kol tfusos Yisrael, that we read Parshas Nitzavim right before Rosh Hashanah. So we have to understand, it was supposed to do Kisava before Rosh Hashanah. Why was it necessary? Why did they see fit when they moved it to the annual cycle to make sure that we still get Nitzavim in for Rosh Hashanah? It's very interesting to note. We have the calendar, 2 poles on the calendar, and when you think about it, you should think that Adar and Elul should have a very similar energy, and they don't. But you know that we have Pesach, which is Hachor Selachem Rosh Chodashim. It's the beginning of the months, and that's how in all the way we count, the way it's written in Tanakh, and the way we count in our Shtoros, if we write the month in Lashon HaKodesh, so we're going to call it, Nisan is HaChodesh HaRishon, Iyar is Chodesh HaSheni. That's the way they used to do it until Shemos HaChodashim Olem Min Bavel, until it got changed to Nisan Iyar Sivan. But that came after Golos Bavel. That means throughout first 1,000 years after Matan Torah, roughly, right? It's Rishon Sheni, Chodesh Rishon Chodesh Sheni. Even though the year shifts, in Tishrei, which is forever Chodesh Hashvi. Tishrei is not Chodesh HaRishon. Right, so now we discarded that as we started using the names of the months. But it's something to think about. Right? The monthly cycle renews with Nisan. The annual cycle renews with Tishrei. And furthermore, there's an issue of Hanhoga. Right? These are 2 forms of reign and control. Because Rosh Hashanah, the Rosh Chodesh Nisan is Rosh Hashanah L'Malchei Yisrael. Right? We count. That's also the kingdom. He completed another year of his kingdom with Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Whereas on Rosh Hashanah, we're Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's our kingdom and there's his kingdom. There's the cycle of the Chodesh and there's the cycle of the Shana. What's the difference between Chodashim and Shanim? That might be able to give us a little understanding of the difference between Nisan and Tishrei, and also the difference between Adar that leads into Nisan and Elul that leads into Tishrei. He's saying that Adar and Elul are both these months that are at the tail end but lead into the new beginning. As a matter of fact, that's part of the V'nahafochu of Adar. That the V'nahafochu, so Haman thought it was a bad month for them because it's the furthest away from Nisan and Moshe Rabbeinu died, etc. And that's part of V'nahafochu, and that's what Rashi says on the famous Gemara, Misha Nichnas Adar Marbim Simcha, not just because of Purim and Pesach. That you don't look at it as if it's furthest away from Pesach, rather it's leading you back to Pesach. And that's a similar situation we find ourselves in Elul, that from the annual cycle it's the furthest away, but it leads back into Rosh Hashanah. But the energies are very different, and we understand a little bit why. What is the difference between Chadash and Chodesh, Milashon Chadash? Right? And Shana, Milashon what? Shana. Shoneh. Different. Right? No, right? Now, you might think these two are synonyms, but not really. The right? There's Chadash and Shoneh. Right? New and different.
There were no synonyms in Hebrew.
What?
No synonyms.
Right. So I'm explaining why they're not. Right? Right, so like in all the sugyas, let's say in Baba Kama, in the 9th parak, 10th parak, parak Meruba, talk about shinui kona, right? So you steal a block of wood, right, and you carve it, irrevocably, irrevocably into a different shape, right? That's a shinui, and so since it's not chosel briyoso, I'm going to talk about that in a second, right? So you're kind of, you could give him money, you don't have to give back the thing itself. There's no din of veheshiv v'sagzel shagazal, because the thing is not ke'ein shagazal. It was nishtane. Is it new?
No.
What?
No.
It's not new. If the wood is, 10 years old, 10-year-old, the beam, and it's rotting away, it has a different shape, it's not new. It's different, but it's not new. All right? The Indian of chadash, what do we mean? Ein chadash tachas hashemesh. Right? Nothing new under the sun. Well, because really, ever since Sheshis Mei Bereshis, it's the same energies, right? So all these things you call new, it's not really new. We're working with the same energies in different combinations. It's not really new. Technology is not really new, right? It's not like we invented electricity. Electricity always was. Nuclear energy always was. Now, maybe we didn't realize it was there, but it was there since creation itself. So the emergence of all these contraptions, it's shoneh. Oh, it's different. And life today looks very different because we have all these different contraptions, but there's nothing new about it because the koichas, the energies that we're harnessing, were always there. They're just different combinations. Right? So that we confuse the different with the new, and they're really not synonyms because, as he pointed out in Lashon HaKodesh, every term is dafka. Right? Chadash. Chadash, that ain't chadash tachas hashemesh, that Chazal darshan, but lemala min hashemesh, yesh chadash, right above the sun. And what's one of the things that's above the sun? My Rebbe Moshe Shapiro Zichron Baruch used to say, the moon. Ain't chadash tachas hashemesh, right? But tachas hayarech, there is chadash, and that's the chodashim, loshen chadash, right? That we bring in new energies into the world. The world that we live in is basically a world of chol, not a world of kodesh. Now, God himself instituted a certain type of kodesh that he gives us, and that's called Shabbos. Shabbos doesn't need your kiddush to be holy. Shabbos kaval nafsha, right? But that's natural kedusha. But the kedushas hamoadim that we come with Rosh Hashanah, that's new, right? And if chas v'sholom we'd ever lose the luach, forget it, it's not going to happen. You're going to have a 3-day yontif this year. Forget it, it's not going to happen, right? But if we chas v'sholom ever lose the luach, right, it would never fall out of use, which the Rambam says one of the scenarios of how the luach that Hillel II set up could fall out of use. God forbid. He says we have Avtach. What would happen is if there'd be no Jews living in Eretz Yisrael. He says the Yishuv in Eretz Yisrael is the living continuation of the Sanhedrin. And he says if there would be no Yidden in Eretz Yisrael, the luach would fall out of use. Even if we have the technology of the luach, it would be worthless. Right? So Chas v'Sholom, he says we have Avtach. Such a thing will never happen. But theoretically, if it would happen, no more Pesach, no more Sukkot, no more Yom Kippur, right? All the things that Kedushas HaMoadim, that are totally in the Chodashim, in Am Yisrael being Mekadosh the Chodashim, that's new, and that's what we bring into the world. And that's why you can understand, what's man's role in the world? God put us in the world, right, to bring newness to the world, bring new energies in. And that's why you can understand the very first mitzvah that we got as an Am, as a nation, was Achor Zelachem Rosh Chodashim. Because the real mission of man as being God's representative on earth is God created a world, B'teva, with a certain amount of Kedusha B'teva, which is the Kedusha Sashabas. Man is supposed to bring new energies, not play with the old in different combinations. That's Shinui. Right? We're supposed to bring in new, and that's the end of Kedushas HaChodashim, Miloshen Chodesh, that's totally in the Yarech. Not in the Shemesh, because Ein Chodesh Tachas HaShemesh, and that's the side, Am Yisrael's Moina Lilevana, that's our job. We bring newness to the world, and that's why they hate us so much, right? Because we're ruining the world order, right? Change, of course society changes all the time, it's in flux, but it's like the same old story, just, in different combinations, right? When you call it anarchist, you call it Antifa, it's, they have a saying in Ivrit. Oto giveret beshinui aderet. Same lady, she's just wearing a different coat. Oto giveret beshinui aderet. Right? She's wearing a right. But Am Yisrael, we don't. We're not just recombining things. We bring a different energy into it, new energy that there never was before. But the two tracks actually work together, especially like the Shitas HaRambam, that's all the one same mitzvah saseh, to be Mekadosh the Chadoshim, and also to be Ma'aber the Shonim. It's all one big mitzvah saseh, because there's something amazing to think about of how these two cycles have to work together. Right? You say we bring into the world, let's say, the Kedusha of Pesach. Well, we did that already. That happened already at Yetzias Mitzrayim. Machadash, it should be an ish like it should be like a getter of Ein Isser Chalal Isser, Ein Shvua Chalal Shvua. We already brought that. You can't have Pesach on top of Pesach, right? Right? We already did that already, right? No, because it's a different year, right? The passage of the years, makes a shinui that there's something different about the world. That now you can bring in Pesach again, and it's not called that it's being piled on top of itself because things have changed. This was Pesach Tafshin Ayin Zayin. This year, we'll have, Pesach Tafshin Ayin Ches. The years is what changes about the world. That's why you'll never have the same year twice. Think about it. You'll have the same date on the month twice. Every year you'll have the same dates of the month. It's never the same year twice. Think about it. It's true. Right? There's no annual cycle. Because that's what's shoneh. That's what changes. Of course, from the same root of the word is yashan. That's what gets old about the world. Because that's what, something aging, it's actually changing. It's not holding its position. So like we said, we need the two cycles together because otherwise we would have been done, all of our vote would have been done in 1 year. All right, but since things are changing year in and year out, things are in flux, so we could bring newness to this new year, this different world that's shoneh from last year, and that's why we could do Pesach again, and we could do Shavuos again, and Sukkot again. It's not called that we're piling the same thing on top of itself. So now so now we understand the avod of the Adam, Hachoresh Zeh Lochem Rosh Chodashim, and that's why Am Yisrael, our kings, our malchus, our koach that we bring Chodesh, we count that Rosh Chodesh Nisan is Rosh Hashanna l'Malchei Yisrael. Right? All right. But then we come Rosh Hashanah, right? When things are changing, that's out of our control already. That's out of our control. That's what's that's what's changed. That's like the ground beneath our feet is giving way, right? The ground that you were standing on. God makes a contract with the world only 1 year at a time, right? So what you've been standing on, that has expired. That's shifting. That's changing, right? And that's out of our hands. How things, inevitably change, age, also go shoneh, yashan, and decompose. That's out of our hands. The way to get past it is to be mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? You stick with Him, right? Because He's what's ever present. The world is going to change, and everything that you knew to be true, until this point, that all expires. Come the end of Elul, Chof Tes Elul at night. It's all over. The whole world that you knew has passed. Everything's about to change. That's called Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the change, of the new year. The Eitzah to survive, the Shinui, what you know to the uncertain future, is to be Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Stick with Him because He's ever present. And if you stick with Him, you have nothing to worry about. Right? If you don't stick with Him and you're just depending on what was granted last Rosh Hashanah, that's about to expire. And so the ground beneath your feet is crumbling. You're going to lose it. Right? The only way till you could be assured that you're going to make the transition, you're going to survive the transition, right? is by clinging to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, being mamlech Him. I'm part of His malchus, and He is internal. He's above. Ani Hashem lo shanisi. I'm Hashem, I don't change. Stick with Him, and you'll survive all the changes. And that's the secret, that we have to read Parshas Nitzavim right before Rosh Hashanah. Atem Nitzavim. Anyone who's sensitive to what's happening is going to watch the whole world that he knew change and shift, crumble beneath him. Right? Atem Nitzavim Hayom Kohar. You want to feel yatziv, stable. that you're going to make it past this transition. It's going to be like a universe quake. Everything's going to shift. Now, how are you going to be sure that you're going to survive? Where's your yitzivut? Your being stable coming from? If you're lifnei Hashem Elokeichem. And that's so, as much as we read Parshas Kisavo to remind us that the universe is in flux, right? Tichle Shona v'klal Seh. The universe is in flux, L'tov, Vilara. And that's, by the way, what the Goin says in his Biur HaTfilah. The bracha of Parnasa is where? The bracha of Parnasa is in Shmona Esrei. Mevarach Hashanim. It should be Mevarach HaKesef. Right? That's what we need. Bless the ears. Right? And you say it every single day, 3 times a day. It's not like say it once a year by Rosh Hashanah. Right? So the guy says, Shonim, what we're saying, Shonim miloshin shinui. You think that's why you have to constantly daven for parnasa, because the money you have today, you think you're holding on to it. It's going to be mishtaneh. Things are going to change, right? The market's going to change, ups and downs, the circumstances that you're depending on for your parnasa, they're not stable. They're mishtaneh. That's why we daven that things are going to change, but mevarach Hashem should be a blessed change. If they're going to change, let there be mishtaneh l'taiva. Right? And that's what we read Parshas Kisov to remind us things change for better and for worse. Right? And we're getting ourselves hoping that the shinu won't be l'tov, be tichle shana v'klal seh, toch shana b'rchoseh. But where does the security come from? The security comes from atem nitzom ayon kulchem lifnei Hashem Elokeichem. We get our security by depending, right, and only relying on HaKadosh Baruch Hu for everything that we need. How are we doing for time? What? It's time. Okay. Rosh help, right? That just end off with just one quick thought. That's the pshat in a very cryptic Gemara in Yuma, that it says that imyu chataechem kashanim kashel yabinu, right? Like the pasuk pshat, the pasuk is your sins are like shonim red, right? So kashel yabinu. So says the Gemara. Your sins will be like the years that have already been set up ever since Sheshes Mei Breishis. The pshat is like this, to understand, right? We change the world, with our free will. We could do the right thing, we could do the wrong thing. It's all totally in our bechira. And our bechira, seemingly makes all the difference. It makes a shinui. It makes all the difference in the world. But here's another thing they have to realize. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't create it, it wouldn't be possible. Right? So any thing that you could choose between are options that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created and made possible. If you wouldn't make it possible, you wouldn't be able to do it. Which means that the Avera isn't a possibility that God himself created, except that it's not a possibility that had to be actualized. Right? It could have just been potential, right? And our Bechira brought it from potential to actual, right? So when we do tshuva, right, and we disassociate from that choice, so how do you explain the chet that happened? Well, you disassociated, so what? You disassociated. How do you explain the chet that happened? It's still part of history. No, it's Shonim El Shizdur Sabos Vesher Gracious, the Rebbe Shalom, at the time of creation, encoded in the Bria certain possibilities for changes to take place, certain possibilities that the Bechira actualizes. As it were, the Chet, HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes it upon himself. Since you disassociated from the choice, but how do you explain that it still happened? What does disassociate? It doesn't disappear? Well, no, it will now be considered like Hashonim Alolu, Shezdur supposed to be I myself encoded in the Bria that there has to be flux and shift, right? So as it were, it's on me. It will be considered as a possibility that I created. It's not on you anymore, since the aspect that made it on you was the choice, and you disassociate choice. It's on me, like Sharmel Shestur Savos Mishesh Mei Breishis.